Hello, my name is Kaben Hanson, a student in Professor Newell's Aviation Safety Factors class, and today I'll be giving my presentation for the Risk Management Matrix assignment. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Part of the curriculum, I will be giving 3 scenarios based on my previous work experience in aircraft maintenance. As one would imagine, there are dozens among dozens of safety factors that must be implemented in this career field, where airmen could become critically injured, disabled, or even killed. So, let's go ahead and jump right into it. During my time as a mechanic, it was very important that when we marshaled out the aircraft, that we stayed on the correct side of it to prevent from being knocked over or severely burned by the intense jet blast as it went to make its turn. Unfortunately, I was told incorrectly one time as a new airman in the unit, and I ended up learning this the hard way. The airframes I worked with housed large Pratt& Whitney F-100 engines that were capable of producing nearly 30,000 pounds of thrust when at full power. Even just a fraction of this power is capable of causing severe damage if the necessary precautions are not taken when working around them on the ground. So, where would this lie on the risk management matrix? Launching from the incorrect side of the aircraft. Although a mistake, it is not one that was seen very often. In fact, during my time in service, my incident was the only time I'd ever witnessed it. But that certainly doesn't mean that it should ever happen, as it can easily cause unnecessary injury. So, for the first scenario, jet blast, I would put it at extremely dangerous, extremely severe, but very scarce, as it does not happen frequently, if ever. Um, it was a rookie mistake, and being a new person in the unit, it would be much easier to follow a higher up's instruction, even if they might be wrong. Moving on to the next scenario, it is staying away from the intakes as the aircraft's engines are running. Although I never witnessed something crazy like this in person, thankfully, when I was in training, there was a video we had to watch about how a sailor working on an aircraft carrier actually got sucked into a jet's intake. Thankfully, he survived, but just barely, as his headset was basically sucked off of his head and destroyed the engine before his entire body could be pulled in, although he was left with many injuries. It was engraved into our minds as trainees that we were not to stand closer than 5 feet to the sides or 25 feet directly in front of the jet intakes if the engines were running in any scenario, even if they were at idle power. Sometimes it would be tempting to walk close as we were doing maintenance that required a running engine, but it was so important that we did not. There was one incident, however, that I nearly witnessed on my base. One of my fellow airmen did walk in front of a running engine. Luckily, nothing happened of it. Nothing was sucked in or anything like that. No damage was done. No one got hurt. Um, but the risk was huge, and this airman did end up in a bit of trouble. So, where would I place this scenario on the matrix? Considering that there is so much at risk in this one, I would have to make the severity a 5, just like the last one, as not only is someone's life at extreme risk, but so are the engines themselves. If something were to be sucked into one, whether it be a headset, a tool, or even something as small as a nut or a bolt, thousands of dollars worth of damage could occur and can actually leave the aircraft grounded where it will need to be fixed. And because of how easily it is to mess this up and walk in front or even leave a tool or anything in front of the intakes, I would have put the frequency at probably a 2. No, I'll leave it at a 3 because leaving a tool or something, that's not too rare. It happened every now and then. For my final scenario, I will discuss towing aircraft into the hangars. This one involves far less risk, and as far as I know, there have never really been any major injuries in this line, but that doesn't mean that there isn't risk, so let's check it out. A tow team for one of these fighter jets would require at least 4 or 5 airmen as far as I can remember. One in the cockpit of the jet, one towing the jet, 2 wing walkers, and one following behind. Each person outside of the jet was to essentially make sure it wasn't going to hit anything, because from one point of view or from one perspective it may be hard to tell how close or how far a wing might be from, say, a hangar door or something like that. The biggest risk pretty much would be hitting a hangar door or a truck with the jet by accident. However, when performing this job, the towing procedure was not allowed to move the jet any faster than 5 or maybe 10 miles an hour. With these rules in place, injuries never occurred, and when they did, there usually wasn't much damage. For our final scenario, towing aircraft, I'm going to have to say that on the Matrix, the severity of any incident that ever really occurs would have to be a 2, because, like I said, as far as I know, no one's ever really been seriously injured from this, and the frequency at which this happens, it happens here and there, but it's not very often, so I would also give that a 2. So at the end of the day, it's nothing to go crazy about. We're going to leave it right there with a 4 points. All right, to wrap things up, once again, my name is Kaben Hanson. I'm a student in Professor Newell's Aviation Safety Factors class, and this is my Risk Management Matrix assignment. And thanks for watching.